with Coach Coach Lie, your favorite neighborhood therapist, having real hard convos, contrasting pessimists. Generational trauma explored, broach delicate, getting to the root of the pain, healing impediments. Every week signs copay, free lessons. Bet on self, trust the process, no questions. Feel your feels, journey to be healed, no stressing. Conversations with Coach Lie's now in session.
I might want to turn my mic on. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Coach La. How y'all feeling out there? Do you know it is 91 degrees in the city of Boston? I am like, what? It is hot. Want to give some shout outs before we get this virtual couch on and popping. First and foremost, shout out to all my Urban Heat family. As you know, and if you didn't know, you better ask somebody. Boston has Black radio, and we are the Urban Heat 98.1 FM, the only Black-owned radio station platform that is on the iHeartRadio network. So big shout out to the Mattapan FET 5K. I did a 5K. This is the second year that I have done the 5K. So big shout out to them. There was a sold out 5K 2 years in a row. They've been able to do that. I'm so proud of both of the founders who were able to put that together. Everyone who ran, walked, danced. Shout out to us because it was a hot day yesterday. Also, big shout out to those that are going to the Big 3 basketball game today that Ice Cube is doing at TD Bank Garden. The Urban Heat will be in the building. Yes, we will. And then big shout out to the All City Park Jam that will also be going down in Hyde Park. Today at the Martini Park, there's going to be performances by Boston's own Ed O.G., Concrete Click, and also a special performance by DL, who actually did my theme song. So shout out to everybody who's outside. Big outside. What else? I think that was it. I mean, it was a pretty busy weekend. Oh, I almost forgot. Shout out to the young people from the Super Teens at the Mattahunt Community Center and the Family Movement Network, and also Black Dollar. I had the opportunity to facilitate 2 workshops for the youth around healthy relationships, boundaries, and mental health, and why therapy is important. And it was a really good time. I'm trying to make sure I put my phone on Do Not Disturb in case I get some calls. So, yes, I was outside. Your favorite Roundaway therapist was busy. So shout out to everybody who's locked in on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. And of course, all my beautiful listeners on iHeartRadio. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in from another country. So if you didn't know, ask somebody. We are international. The stats are in from Japan to Brazil to Australia. Folks are tuning in and they are listening all over the world. So what are we talking about today, y'all? What's going to be happening on the virtual couch? Well, first and foremost, you guys know that this season has been all about debunking myths about mental health, but it's also about reminding each and every one of you who listens to bet on yourself every single day. So every guest that I've brought on thus far has been here to explore how to evolve, how to pivot, how to heal, how to lead, and how to thrive through every season of your life. And this guest that I'm going to have today is not going to change the rhythm. She's, if anything, going to make us skip to a different beat. So the healing power of words, poetry, purpose, and social justice. What we want you to understand is that words don't just describe our experiences, but they shape how we heal and how we see and also how we feel. So who we having on the guest virtual couch today? I know y'all saw her because she was posting and looking all good, and she's been out here in Hollywood and she's been all over the world living her best life. You know what I mean? Best life with the beautiful melodies and style that she has. So I want you to introduce you to the Bronx native, Lyrical Faith. She's a Black American educator, a cultural curator, and most recently, she's become a recording artist, y'all. She is also a PhD candidate in social justice education, and she is the inaugural UMass Amherst W.E.B. Du Bois. I always got to slow down when I say his name. Center Poet in Residence. She is the y'all heard that, 3-time Woman of the World Poetry Slam finalist. And she also is the person who is the coach of the collegiate slam team in Western Massachusetts. She has also been featured in such acclaimed platforms such as the world famous Apollo Theater, America's favorite game show, Family Feud, and she's also been on iconic stages with Mr. Mark Lamont Hill to Miss Lauryn Hill. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on to the virtual couch none other than the most beautiful, talented, lyrical Faith Poetry. How you doing, girl?
I'm doing great, and it's so great to be here, and it's great to see you again.
I know, you look so amazing. You know, she be on her fitness kick too, y'all. Don't play with her fitness. Don't play. She's a gym girl. She gym girly all day, okay?
I try.
She stays in the gym. What's up, Cynthia Brewington? Thank you for tuning in today. The virtual couch is on and popping. So, Lyrical Faith.
Yes.
Poetry. Do we say the whole thing or we just call you lyrical?
Just lyrical faith.
Lyrical Faith.
Lyrical faith, or just lyrical, or just faith.
Oh, just faith. You know, tell us something. Who is Lyrical Faith Poetry outside of what we can Google? Something people would be surprised to know about you.
Yeah, I would say that the beautiful introduction that you just gave, where you're saying I've been out living my best life in Hollywood and other places around the world. I'll say I do love to travel, and in particular I do love to travel, and I love doing it for what I love to do, which is poetry and whatnot. But something that people don't always see or realize, I tend to get, a lot of compliments around, oh, you seem to be handling everything really well. This is a lot. And I'm just like, yeah, but, it's a lot can be overwhelming. And so, at times I really have to figure out what ways I am retreating and what ways I am taking care of myself and my mental health, because it oftentimes feels a bit overwhelming to be out and about and doing a lot of the things that I love so much. I'm grateful for the opportunities, but also I am somebody who tends to get overwhelmed kind of easily as well. So I kind of try to take all of that in stride and in balance. And yeah, that's something that really kind of, I'm grappling with on a daily basis.
It's so interesting that you say that, because I think people think those that perform and make it look so easy and so effortless, that there aren't moments of feeling overwhelmed, or when, being who you are can be too much. I was watching some footage of Chris Brown recently, and it's like, as he's evolved and he's becoming more and more, I don't know, famous, if you want to use the word, or more successful, like he's getting more and more on Michael Jackson level. Like he can't, just simple stuff like walking to his car, people got cameras in his face. Like it's security just to usher him in and out of places. And I mean, it changes so quickly, and I can only imagine how overwhelming that can be to have people constantly either wanting your time in your face where there's no off switch. You always have to smile and be in a good space. So I think a lot of people could relate to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I appreciate you empathizing that and acknowledging that. And it's something that I think just comes with the territory. So it's something that is inevitable, I guess. And it's something that I think you don't ever, I guess, become like a master at becoming overwhelmed, but I do think you just get better at it. It doesn't get easier is what I'm saying. You just get better at it.
Yeah, and getting better at it looks different for everyone, right? Like sometimes you just need that pause, you need that moment. Tell me a little bit about little Lyrical Faith from the Bronx, like before you became the person that we see now, because you have such a strong voice. Like when you perform, there's so much power and so much passion in every line, but your overall spirit is so different than the performance Lyrical Faith. Have you heard that before?
Yeah, like this duality that you have on stage versus off stage. One of my friends called me Hannah Montana once.
Yeah.
But I guess if she were Black and did poetry. But
Yeah.
I think, I just think that there's this duality that you kind of encompass. I think that all poets encompass, actually. I've made a couple of like statuses and kind of threw this theory around once, but this idea that like poets exhibit these superhero qualities and characteristics where we have like these Clark Kent personas at work and during our regular day, and then at night, we just we transform to our superhero persona, right?
Yep.
And so and so in our human persona, right, that's kind of like what maybe our day-to-day coworkers know us as. I remember when I was working a job, several jobs that didn't necessarily have anything to do with poetry per se, and I would be hiding the fact that I am a poet. And so that to me was like, these are my Clark Kent moments, because I have to hide my identity, my superhero identity, because at night I'm going to put on this cape and I'm going to transform, because I didn't want my coworkers to know I did poetry. And you know what it is like, coworkers, they want to know, people want to be in your business. They, let me come to a show. And it's kind of like, no, this is where I go to maybe even talk about y'all. You know what I'm saying? This is where I go to be myself. Y'all don't need to know that much about me. You see me from 9 to 5, and then afterwards I'm out. I turn into Superman, right?
Yeah.
And so, or Superwoman. And so I think all poets kind of encompass this duality of who they are during one season or one portion of their life, and who they are in their poetry world or on stage or in this other portion of their lives.
Yeah, super ego is real. And I think, Beyonce did it too. Like, when you have this alter ego, right, that allows you to be all the things that maybe, like I said, the little younger Lyrical Faith, like from the Bronx, before she knew this was her voice. Tell us about her, and how did you step into who we see now?
Yeah, I would say younger Lyrical Faith always wanted to be an actress. You could ask, my mother, anybody in my family. It was always, I want to be an actress. I want to be an actress. I want to be an actress. And what that translated to, what I realized later on in life, was I didn't necessarily, because my mom, had me in some acting classes. I also kind of auditioned for some drama high schools and everything like that. But what that translated to was like, I kind of always wanted to be on stage. And younger Lyrical Faith grew up around hip hop. I'm from Sedgwick Avenue, where the birth of hip hop took place at back in 1973. I am from the Bronx, born and raised, and lyrics were always my thing. I'm always like into the early 2000s hip hop songs, the 90s hip hop songs and everything. And so I was somebody who really encompassed all of these different like songs and ideas and flows and beats and melodies in my head. When I was in middle school, I took this hip hop class, and so all of these things were just really floating around my body, my brain, and my hemisphere, until I discovered spoken word, and that actually helped me put pen to page and realize this is really what I wanted to do. This was the first thing that I felt really good at. So I think between always wanting to be on stage and not knowing how to identify that, always loving reading and writing, and then always loving music and lyrics, when I found spoken word, all of those things kind of came together for me.
Super dope. What I love about that is that for a lot of people, it starts in childhood, and then traumatic events or someone can come along and sort of kill that dream for them. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like your mother's wouldn't be surprised by what you're doing right now. This is sort of like an alignment.
Yeah, I will say this. I will say that I think family members and just people who knew me growing up didn't think that I would take it this far.
Really?
Yeah, okay, like when Biggie says we never thought that hip hop would make it this far, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think people think that it's like a cute little thing that the kids in the park were doing.
Gotcha.
I think people think that it was like, that's the cute little, your daughter likes to get up on stage and do the thing with the words and everything. But people, and I think part of that I blame the ecosystem of how people view spoken word in the creative arts. Because first off, when people hear that you want to be an artist, they're like, yeah, right, what's your real job, you know?
Yeah.
And then and then in particular, right, when you start to, you know, get better at your craft and continue to persevere in your art, right, then the type of artist that you are plays a factor in how seriously people take you. Because unfortunately, spoken word just doesn't have as much of a prestige or an acclaim as other forms of entertainment, right? And so people don't necessarily even take that seriously when you say that you're a spoken word poet, or you're a you know, spoken word artist, or you're a poet. People think, oh, like I write things in my notebook too, you know, and not necessarily thinking about it as a career trajectory or path. So I think those are the two things that kind of play into this perception around, if somebody's like a young poet coming up and everything, their family members are not necessarily saying like, oh, I can see you in a, you know, career path. Versus if you have like a dynamite voice and you're this, you know, beautiful singer from, you know, from a young age, everyone's trying to get you to be on Showtime at the Apollo and get you to be on The Voice and America's Got Talent and, you know, this, that, and the third, because there's actual venues and arrangements for those things. But in spoken word, it looks a little bit different, and so people don't necessarily see that as like, your child is gifted, she could take this far, she can take, you know what I'm saying? So I think that us as spoken word poets, or myself as a poet, I had to be as persistent and consistent as possible in order for this to be like an actualized career for me, in order for me to really and have mentors that really like nail down on it in my brain that you can do this, you can take this a lot further, you can be professional in this craft, you can get paid for spoken word, and so on and so forth, right, at a younger age, in order for me to realize that that is a real thing.
I love that there was mentors. Shout out to Amanda Shea, who's on here too. We've had this conversation previously, right? But that moment that you realize, wait a minute, I could really do this for real. Like, and it sounds like for you, permission from other people, and just, you know, other people also seeing it and giving you guidance, because believe it or not, it's all words, right? It's all about writing. But I think often you get pushed into being an author, that category versus a poet. Spoken word artist, you might go into being a songwriter, or you might go that route. And so it's interesting because there's been a lot of pushback about there being a category in the Grammys and who's winning, right? And often they're not necessarily just poets, but they have backgrounds as actors, or they have other albums. But I think a lot of people start off as poets, but they didn't lead with it, and they didn't stay strong in it so that people would know they were poets first. So I think about Amari Hardwick, for instance. He was a poet before he was everything else. And no one knows that. Yeah. So it looks like he's like,
or Tank.
Or like he's going and he's coming and kind of taking what poets are doing, not realizing he's always been a poet too.
Yeah, and it's same with Tank from Tank and the Bangers. You know, she's has been a very very active poet on the poetry slam scene. You know, Team Snow, New Orleans, all of that, and then, you know, took her music further. You know, got the Tiny Desk and so on and so forth. So when she actually won, you know, the Grammy for, you know, best spoken word poetry album, I mean, to be honest, that was actually the perfect marriage of the two, right? Tank is a recording artist, but she is also recognized very, very well across the poetry community as well. And it was the same for Jay Ivy, of course, who is the reason why we have a spoken word poetry category. So yeah, I think it's all about, you know, there is a lot of debate around how that category is viewed, and it's so new, and we're only going into our 5th year of it being in existence. But I think that, you know, for me, I think it's all, you know, I count it all as a great thing, because it's an opportunity, as long as we kind of stay authentic to the craft and stay respectful and paying homage to the craft. I think that it's a great other opportunity for spoken word to be visible on such a platform such as the Grammys, and I don't see it as a bad thing. I hope that folks that continue to submit will continue to be true to the craft of spoken word, not just kind of create something because there's a category and this seems like a quote unquote easy thing to do, but because like you're actually somebody who's been out here really, really writing and performing spoken word, and this is an opportunity for you to a lane for you to be a part of.
showcase and be heard by more voices and introduce people to it. Like, I think it's an opportunity for those that didn't know it even existed. They're getting introduced to something that could seem sort of underground, almost like hip hop in a lot of ways, until it goes mainstream. But we just have to make sure we continue to tell the stories and salute each other and remind each other, like, poetry is the beginning of all.
Mm-hmm.
Every song, if you think about it, is a poem.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways. That's now to music. So that being said, you got a new project coming up.
I do.
Segue. And I want to tie this into this segment of my show as well, because you may not know, right? I write as well, and I do perform, and I always have. And I think, similar to what you just explained, it was just this little thing I did to deal with my emotions and my feelings, and nobody was ever supposed to read it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I never really thought it was good enough for anybody to know, because it was so deep to helping me through my own experiences way before I became a therapist. So I want to go ahead and talk about what does therapy mean to you, and how does that tie into your writing?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. And I'll also say, yes, I do have an album project coming out, Lyrical Analysis, The Evidence of Things Unseen. Shout out to Amanda Shea, who you mentioned earlier. She is actually featured on the project. So really excited to be able to have this opportunity to collaborate with some of my brilliant, amazing, talented friends. And when it comes to how I think about mental health in relationship to poetry, and even in relationship to this album, I'll say this: when it comes to therapy, I am somebody who is a therapy advocate, a mental health advocate. I have been in and out of therapy for the last 8 years. And I think that it is an extremely valuable tool. I don't think that I would be able to be the person that I am, the woman that I am, if it had been for the tools that I have gathered in therapy. I don't think that I could be the poet that I am if not for the ways in which I'm able to navigate in and out of spaces that are created in order for me to perform and be the person who I am on and off stage. Even when it comes to how I'm thinking about processes and solutions when I'm writing my poems, I think that therapy also plays a role in just me understanding my emotions and being able to name and understand how to regulate them more, even as I'm writing something that could be really painful or traumatic. And so there's tools in place that therapy kind of helps you to gather, so that you can process those things out on a page in the ways in which it feels safe and not harmful to you, and then be able to do them on a stage, and then not have to break down every single time that you do them, because that's something that happens pretty often in the poetry world as well. And you know what I'm saying, poetry is not therapy, poetry is therapeutic. And so I just want to, honor that the process of therapy is important, independent of the process of being able to therapeutically release your emotions on the page and on the stage.
Yeah, I think that was definitely well said. And I think one of the things that came up, I had another poet come on, and Prentice Powell, actually. And we talked about a lot of his work was centered around childhood trauma and his relationship with his dad. And as he healed, poetry changed, and some of the poems didn't land, or he didn't even want to recite them anymore. But that's what he got popular and got known for. And a lot of that was written from a place of pain and hurt. So how do you navigate that as a poet, right? In terms of being able to do social justice and take care of yourself and write about these hard topics and then recite them over and over again?
Yeah, I will definitely say writing about, so I guess what I've gotten known for is kind of like this social justice poetry, this protest poetry. And that's actually, I've spun that into my brand, right? I'm somebody who is a full-time PhD student. My dissertation work revolves around this notion of the history and the contemporary works of protest poetry, and how poetry has played a role both historically and up until present day in our social and political perspectives and movements that Black people have experienced and gone through. And so anyway, I say all that to say that protest poetry and the social justice poetry of writing about Black death was something that was an early theme in my work, right? I wrote about, when in 2012, when Trayvon Martin got murdered unjustly, I wrote this poem about this, that people wanted me to perform everywhere. 2014, 2015, Mike Brown wrote this poem that people wanted me to perform everywhere, and so on and so forth, right? In 2020, wrote these poems, a series of poems just related to the protests and being a part of the protests that were taking place in 2020. And of course, we know that 2020 was related to Black death. And so these things are very heavy, and these things are not topics that I take lightly, right? Because I think that if God has given me the gift of words to be able to put these stories into a creative medium, I am taking this with great responsibility. I'm taking this with great maturity in how what I'm saying can help to advance, can help to solve, can help to interrogate, can help to enlighten the people who are around me and the people who will hear the sound of my voice. I think as poets, we have a major responsibility to serve the people and everybody who will hear us. And so I think that these poems, right? These poems are life-saving, they're life-changing, and they're a way for me to personally process, this could have been me. This could have been my brothers. This could have been, this could have been my father, right? You know what I'm saying? I've gotten the opportunity to be around and work with various activists who have lost their fathers to gun violence and so on and so forth. And these are people that, that are close to us. These are not people that are in this far away place. You know what I'm saying? I think people see these people on TV and they think like this is all performative sometimes, but this is real pain. You know what I'm saying? I got the chance to hear the mother of Sandra Bland speak in an event once. I got the chance to hear Trayvon Martin's mother speak, right? She's one of my sorority sisters. I've been around Emerald Garner many times at many events, right? Who speaks about her father, Garner. So there's so many different things that play into this, and how there's real lives that are on the line every single time we open up our mouths and choose to write a poem about these traumatic events that are happening in the world around us. And I take that very seriously, but I also definitely need the opportunity to be able to process myself. Why is it that I'm the person that even needs to write this poem, and why do I need to even write or share this story? Is this adding to something? Is this helping something, or is this taking away from it? And I never want to be somebody who is just making another poem about Black death that could take away from another voice or progression that could be happening in that area. I only want to add and support the movement that is at hand.
It's a lot of responsibility, to have that influence. And how do you take care of yourself? Because again, these are heavy poems. And then, like I said, if you haven't had an opportunity to see Lyrical Faith perform, the passion, you can hear and now I can get it. If you've heard these mothers and fathers and children speak, you're carrying that in every word and every line. You can hear it, so these are not poems that don't touch you. They move you and they hit you in a deep place. So you have to go somewhere as an actress. I guess you're using your ability to go there in your poetry, because when you speak, I literally feel like everything stops and we are listening. So like you said, that is a gift, but it also is profound. And I can only imagine after you're done, you need a whole minute to go away from the crowd and just reset.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say I have jitters and I guess, the butterflies and all of those things that kind of happen around your performance, the performance anxieties and the pressures that come along with what happens when you bring a poem from the page to the stage. How will people receive it? What will people take away from it? And was this something that was helpful to this particular moment in time? And that's like I said, that's a big responsibility that I don't take lightly. I think that anytime a poet gets on stage, we are bearing parts of our soul, and it's a very intimate and vulnerable act. And we only hope that people will receive and maybe won't judge us for it, or maybe will relate to us in some way. And I think I've been blessed with the opportunity to see, in multiple instances where something that I have shared that has been a vulnerable piece of work has touched and moved another audience member's life, right? Something that they've been able to say, hey, I was going through this with my son. I was going through this with my nephew. I was going through this with my family as well. This is exactly how I felt when such and such happened to me. So I think with taking all of that into account, I really want to just promote the responsibility that us as griots of the craft have.
Yeah. And I think you do it well. I think that, it takes a lot of courage. And I can only imagine how your pen is moved in the moments that you write these things, and to then go up and perform it, memorize it, and to do it time and time again effortlessly, that it looks to us, right, on the other side.
Yeah. And I will also say, like, I coach a slam team, as mentioned, the first and only slam team at UMass Amherst. And for the young people that I coach, I think that I have even more of a responsibility to impart on them the same wisdom that I have taken in throughout my journey, and the responsibility that comes along with them writing poems, right? Because now this is the future of poetry, who is kind of being able to process their own lives and process the actions or the activities of the world around them through poetry. And I'm speaking to them in the same ways in which I'm talking and learning from myself, which is, don't write from something that you're not healed from. Don't write from a place where it's so traumatizing that you have to break down after stage. I will not let you perform or slam with that piece, and so
that's profound. I think just pausing for a moment, because I often say people shouldn't post things on social media that they haven't healed from. I think that when you put things in a book that you haven't processed, because people are gonna want to interview you and talk to you about it.
It's out there forever,
and it's there, and now you can't control the narrative, and you're gonna get questions about it. And I've gotten pushback in some places of like, that might be the only place somebody can go, and that breaks my heart. I would hope that that's not the only place people can go, is social media, Facebook, Instagram, which is one of the reasons why I do this show, right? It's like, if you are coming across something, I want these episodes to inspire people, to encourage them to be brave. And ultimately, like I keep saying, it's to bet on themselves. And when I say that, it's to believe in yourself, to connect with things that empower you, and to transform any of the thinking that causes you to feel less than, right? It causes you to feel like you're not enough. That's what betting on self is all about, which brings us to my next segment. And we have a special moment that we're about to do too, which I'm going to tie all into this segment that we call betting on self. So let's get into it. If you never heard it before, you guys are tuned into Conversations with Coach La, your favorite around the way therapist. And they're talking about my video failed. What you talk about? StreamYard. Let's get this together. Okay, there we go. All right. So this segment right here is all about what betting on self is all about. Those that have been listening to the show for the last 3 years know that this was inspired by my late dad, who's now been gone 8 years. Still cannot believe that. But he used to always say, baby, you will always win as long as you bet on yourself. As long as you bet on yourself and you stay true to yourself, it doesn't matter the outcome. You either will learn or you're going to win. And once he passed away, I had to start saying that to myself to manage my own grief and to be able to keep pushing forward and not just fall all the way apart. And I started posting it and hashtagging it. And then I started talking to my clients about it. Before you knew it, it became a part of my brand, which I don't think is by mistake or by accident. I think truly my father lives through everything that I do. And that being said, every guest that I bring on, I talk to them about their bet on self moments, when you have to sit with yourself and reflect and say, if not now, then when? If not me, then who? And despite what I've been told about myself, despite other people not believing, I got to believe in my own voice and my own self, and I have to bet on me, right? And so talk to me about that, those moments. I think you have a moment that I'm probably going to guess, but maybe you got a different moment. But I'm hoping that this is going to lead into this spoken word project, baby.
So yes, that I would definitely say my bet on myself moment was definitely this spoken word project. This is the biggest and largest project that I have completed to date in my 20-year career in poetry. I've been writing and performing for 20 years as of 2026. And I am...
Go ahead, baby, with that career. Talk your stuff.
Thank you. And I am so grateful that this project couldn't have come at a better time. I am somebody who, like I mentioned, I'm a PhD candidate. I've written a ton of research articles, parts of contributed to chapters in books, things of that nature. I'm still kind of working on my solo poetry book, but I do actually have a book deal for another book, a collaborative book that I'm the editor of that's coming out soon. Stay tuned for the call for manuscripts. But with that being said, this spoken word album was something that was mine. It was all mine. It was something that I could not have been more grateful to have had the opportunity to do. I was the inaugural recipient of the Ignite Fellowship at the Mosesian Center for the Arts. And that was the first major artist institution that bestowed upon me an artist in residence fellowship. And to be the first one, right? To be the first one was something that I took with high esteem. So, shout out to Aliana De Guardia, tons of applications from around the country. People had to discuss, vote, all sorts of things. Yes. You got to give you some claps for that. Thank you. And awarded me with this fellowship. And as a part of my fellowship project for this, my promise to them was that I would create a full-length project. Now, at first, I thought the full-length project would be a manuscript. However, that eventually started to switch when I realized the type of tools, opportunities, resources, and connections that they wanted me to make and utilize while in this space, in the residence space. And what it ended up turning into was I can produce a spoken word album with this time and with this space, right? And so we transformed the space that they gave me to a recording studio. They connected me with a local Boston-based producer. Shout out to Citizen Joy.
Let's go.
Survival is my producer of Citizen Joy, and so on and so forth, right? And so things just kind of came together. The pieces came together where, Citizen Joy was down to work with me. Amanda Shea, my sister in poetry.
Shout out to Amanda Shea all day.
Yes, all day. Shea like the butter.
Yep.
Shea
butter.
She was supportive of me from the very, very jump. I mean, she was at the artist reception where I got the acknowledgement of the fellowship, and all the way up until and through the album production, right? And so all of the pieces came together where it made sense at this time for me to produce the album, right? I didn't know when or where or how I would be able to get the space, the studio, the producer, the local connections, all the things that made sense for this to be a successful project. And so we did it, right? We worked steadily for about 4 months, and my producer has been he's such an experienced, such a strategic person that he had so many things already planned out because he already professionally produces events, and he already has professionally produced recording artists and things of that nature. And so this was a beautiful collaboration. And I just, to me personally, I invested, yes, I had the fellowship and that kind of, that space that was involved in that, but I invested way more, you know what I'm saying, than I would have ever thought. I would have ever thought going into the fellowship experience at first. I invested way more into making sure that this album project was done well, that this album project had the appropriate, the people that I wanted in the room, the people involved, that this album project had new pieces that you all have never heard before just for the album, right? Pieces that, gave you all a part of my heart and a part of my passion and my emotion and all of the things that kind of come together to make Lyrical Faith who she is. And so that was definitely a bet on myself by making sure I put the financial investment and the time investment. Did I mention that during the production of the album, I was on a world poetry tour? Insane. Let's go. Right? Like insane, right? I'm flying from Spain and Portugal back to Boston to record. I'm flying from Chicago and Ohio back to Boston to record, and so on and so forth, right? And so whatever I was doing, right, and then on top of that, had a major loss in my family during the same exact time, and flying, back to Boston and processing that situation in the ways in which I was only able to, in the brief amount of time that I could, to write something that could honor my grandmother, who I also lost during this process, back to Boston to record. So this has been an extremely challenging 4 months, just between the album production, the world tour, the loss of my grandmother. Earlier this year, I lost one of my poetry mentees, and all these things that kind of played a role in what has been left on the footprints of the album. So this is betting on myself for sure.
For real. And you get your best work in those moments, right?
Yes.
So tell us about the track that I'm about to play.
Best Friend Poem.
Yes, please tell us about the track. I got it ready to go. Keep it brief because I want to play the whole thing, and it's 4 minutes.
Okay. Featuring Shaking the World. This is Best Friend Poem. This is a poem that I wrote in honor of all of the best friends in the world, in honor of my best friendships throughout life, and hopefully it will inspire you to love on your best friend, those special people in our lives. So this is Best Friend Poem.
Best Friend Poem, world premiere right here on Conversations with Coach La La La. We got Lyrical Faith. Let's go.
You were my best friend. You were my best friend. You were my best friend to the very end. You were my best friend. You were my best friend. You were my best friend to the very end. You were my.
Everybody needs a gang who will swing for you. Laugh and do bad things with you. Get in the rain and sing with you. Stop, drop, and roll on the floor with you. Get you a 1 or 2 that'll go to war with you. A wingman for backup after they knock on the door with you. And call them your soulmates. Call them your kindred spirit kind of lovers that do not require an I do date, but rather they're built-in companions at it. Come with the package, no batteries sold separately. You call them your partner and deputy. You call them when you need them desperately. You call them more than a bestie. Because how can such a word mean also one to confide in? Mean also a love so raw and so pure you were not built to hide it. And when you find someone who will take you for you, a team that has stayed in the gym to just shoot, you have found someone that'll ride for you. And that is an extraordinary truth. It is a view from the penthouse roof. It is a night of clubbing where shorty get loose. It is the cookies and the apple juice. It is resurrection of dead parts of yourself in living proof. It is water can be thicker than blood when wholly in use. It is a secret handshake that we make to remind the outside world we be thick as thieves, we be radical black joy, we be joined at the hip, we be worship. We be reason, not season. We be the crossing of paths and the bellowing of not leaving. We be road trip because you are missed. Vacation with group passport pics, a church service after a night of unholiness. It is a prayer over each other's folded hands when being a colored girl or a colored boy is not enough. It is the resurgence of wholeness after feeling like somebody done walked away with all your stuff. It is asking no questions except who we gotta beat up after somebody done walked away with all your stuff. It is the feeling. It is the feeling that if I die alone, I had a hell of a time worth living because I spent it with all of you. It is the feeling that if I die with someone right by my side, I had the best bridesmaids and groomsmen and godmothers and goddads of all my children that I could ask for. It is not having to ask for anything much. It is asking if you need a hug. It is knowing when you need a hug at all. It is the shedding of a tear or crying fiercely because you know who will be there to catch them fall. It is a friendship so pure and so raw. It's no wonder there's not another soul on this earth I would trade you for. Thank God. Thank God.
You were my best friend. You were my best friend. You were my best friend. To the very end.
Dope. Shout out to the new music.
Thank you.
Shout out to the new music. That was fire. I think it relates too to so many people's stories. So I could connect to all of the different lyrics and you know what I'm saying? Who we gotta beat up.
You know what I'm saying?
saying? Who we gotta beat up? Who messing with you? Okay.
Right. It's best friend poem, which is definitely intended to be universal, but it's very much so through a black lens. It's very much so black best friend.
Hey, listen, we blackity black every day, all day.
Right.
You know what I mean? We are like getting close to the end of this interview, right? We got like 2 more segments that we're going to go through. I'm going to do this rapid fire segment and we're going to wrap it up with Coach's Corner. But I want to also make sure that you are getting an opportunity to let everybody know when they can come and listen to the whole project, right? So answer this for me. Black joy is.
Ooh, black joy is inconquerable.
Purpose is.
Purpose is critical.
Legacy means.
Legacy means love.
Yeah. Healing is.
Healing is self-preservation.
How about faith sounds like?
Faith?
Faith sounds like.
Faith sounds like someone who believed in herself.
I know that's right. Had to throw that one in there. So this last part of the show, we go into Coach's Corner. We want to leave people with what do you want them to take away from this conversation? And most importantly, I want them to feel inspired and encouraged through your story, through your lens, all that you've been able to do. What do we want the people to walk away with when they leave today is what? You know, if they had to get out this fight, because life can feel like a fight, and when they got Coach Lyric and they got Coach La, and they come over to the sideline, what we going to tell them and what we want them to walk away this week that can get them back out there to bet on themselves. And last but not least, we're going to plug when they can see you next, because I will be there.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. I will say, what would I tell somebody to hang in there? I'll definitely say just own your craft, own what you do. Don't let anybody tell you that you are not meant to walk in the purpose that you have and that you are not meant to do what you're doing. Because I think believing in yourself and betting on yourself has been what has gotten you this far to begin with, and it'll be what takes you all the way through. I'll say that even if other people don't believe in your vision, even if other people say, oh, that little poetry thing, or you know what I'm saying, that little podcast thing, or whatever it is that you're doing, God believes in your vision. And if God believes in your vision and you believe in your vision, that's all. That's the only thing that matters.
That's the only
thing that matters. So keep going.
Listen, that's the big B, not the little b, is that you have to believe in yourself. Most importantly and foremost, if you don't, that's where it all starts, right? And I think a lot of people, that's where they struggle, is that they don't really believe it themselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to have the vision that is so big that other people just can't see it, and you can't share it with them because it's not meant for them to see. Mm-hmm. It's only meant for you to see. Mm-hmm. So tell us about when they can see you next and what you got coming up.
Yeah, thank you for that. So next up is the album listening party. I'm so excited for you all to hear the final project. Right now, if you check your Apple Music, you should see that the Best Friend poem that you just heard is actually live on Apple Music. So you can go stream it. Please go stream, go download all the things. And it should be live and sent to all stores. If not today, then tomorrow. So you should, anything that you stream on, Spotify, Tidal, Amazon, everything that you stream on, you will see and hear Best Friend poem. So in that same vein, the album will be going live by the end of this summer. Please follow me at Lyrical Faith Poetry to get the exact date. When that date becomes available, I will be posting it and letting you all know. But please follow me, Lyrical Faith Poetry, and turn on your notifications. And with that being said, here in Boston, what's up? I need y'all to come through to the listening party, the album listening party, lyrical analysis, the evidence of things unseen will be at the Mosesian Center of the Arts, right here a few minutes away in Watertown. And it will be a live experience. I will have all of my features from the album present. I will have there will be so many different people that will come out. There's gonna be media there. Coach La will be there. There's special gifts if you get the VIP ticket. Please, you don't want to miss out on that, because I'm really putting a lot of my heart and soul and energy into making sure this is experience. You'll get special behind the scenes footage and talks, and you'll be able to hear the project live, out for the first time, and we'll be able to discuss. And so I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking to see y'all Tuesday, September 1st from 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Please pull up to the Mosesian Center for the Arts. There are tickets that are available if you go to the link in my Instagram bio.
I love that. All I want you guys to do is remember this week to bet on yourself. Your brain stores emotionally charged language, but healing begins when you intentionally replace those narratives with truth. Like I tell my clients, what are the receipts? You can't just look at one piece and not look at it in entirety. And often we only focus on the negatives, the things that didn't go well, and we don't look at the big picture of all of the wins. You've already survived 100% of your worst days. So keep on thriving and keep on moving forward. Lyrical Faith, thank you so much for being here today, coming all the way in town. Where you come from, Bronx and Connecticut today?
Just all the way from the other side.
I don't know where she be at. That's why I was like, I don't know where she flying in from this time. But thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you soon. September 1st, I will be there. Everybody else, do what you do best. Bet on yourself. And I'll see you next week for another virtual couch. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.